Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. 2024 was an absolutely massive year for me, and I read less than usual, but for great reason. 2024 was the year I finally decided to take the leap and make my first major short film project, Arachnid, starring Killer Kelly. That took up all my time this year, from writing beginning in October all the way to pre-production to shooting it, to our world premiere in New York City we just had in December. It was absolutely an incredible experience, and I can't wait as more film festivals pick up the film to showcase Arachnid to the world. Now, that took a lot of time away from my reading, so I did not read as much books as usual, but I still managed to read 12, a book a month, and today I'm going to be giving you my order, my ranking, kind of the best of the year. I didn't read a single bad book this year. I picked stuff that I knew was going to be bangers, so these are just my favorites that I read this year. So thank you so much for watching, and here we go. Coming in at number 12 is Black Klansman by Sergeant Ron Stallworth. Now, this is an absolutely incredible read. I had really wanted to see the movie, and I was kind of dabbling into true crime. I tried to give In Cold Blood a go, but I couldn't really grip into that. So I went with something a bit smaller, a bit more casual, and Black Klansman was an incredibly wild ride. And it's a story, true story, a real account written from the man behind the story, the centerpiece of the story, Sergeant Ron Stallworth, a black police officer who manages to infiltrate the KKK in the 1970s, I believe. And it's kind of about how he's able to pull that off, and the ramifications of that, and kind of the craziness behind it, because it sounds like, you know, such a ridiculous concept. Ron Stallworth says he thinks about, everyone always equates it to the Chappelle skit about the black man who's blind and joins the KKK. This is much more real, much more scary, and really quite a serious tale, but let me make sure my audio is actually recording. As I was saying, so Black Klansman was a super fun read, really interesting, and really just a wild ride, but there's kind of no real ending to the story. The case just kind of goes cold, and they stop investigating, and that's that. So there's no, like, and the part of the issue with it being a true story is you don't always have that picture perfect, like, climactic moment of the ending, and that's where the movie took some liberties to add in other events from real life moments. And the film adaptation is phenomenal as well, but it's a very, very simple prose, very plain prose, just a working class cop who's telling his story. So it's a very interesting read, and it's Ron Stallworth is a funny writer too. He really kind of leans into the absurdity of this investigation. The book was super fun to read, and I highly recommend it. Anyways, moving on to number 11. Number 11 is Brief Answers to the Big Questions by Stephen Hawking. I don't know where that physical book has gone. You'll notice that's a running theme, because the books I read this year I carried around a lot with me, and they were always on the go. So Brief Answers to the Big Questions is a good read. It's very short too. It is the final book by Stephen Hawking, and oh my god, I'm tripping to make sure I'm in focus. It's the final book by Stephen Hawking. And it's exactly what it says, brief answers to the big questions. And it explores some kind of fun, some kind of very serious questions about the future of humanity. And Stephen Hawking writes in a very accessible way, but still, I found a lot of the information didn't stick with me, and that's due to my own mental capabilities. It was interesting to read, interesting to learn, but the actual information, so much of it didn't get retained the way I wish it would, and that's just due to me not being, you know, well versed in astrophysics. But it was still written from an accessible point enough where it was a quick read, like a 4-day, 5-day, or something like that. So yeah, really enjoyable book. If you're kind of into space, and I love space and just the world in general, so it's a great read and very accessible, and I recommend it. Now let's get into some fiction. Coming in at number 10 was Moon of the Crusted Snow by Wabgijik Rice. His newest book is Moon of the Turning Leaves, I believe. This, wow, Canadian Indigenous horror, phenomenal concept. First Nations Indigenous reservation in far north Ontario experiences a blackout that they soon realize is not affecting just the reservation, but all of Canada and possibly the world. And when some unsavory characters arrive, it becomes very high stakes. And it's a kind of an exploration metaphorically of colonization and kind of reconnecting with the earth and kind of the clash of lifestyles, that imbalance or balance between technology, modern ways, and traditional ways, and that sort of thing. And they approach it, Wawgijik approaches it from a crisis scenario, and it's very intriguing, this concept, and the characters are the real standout here. And it's a strange atmosphere. I don't want to say cozy because it's cold and takes place during a blizzard in the far north in Ontario, but it's just, you just feel like, I felt very kind of like at peace while reading it for some reason. And maybe it's just because of the nature aspect, the isolation. I think that's the strange thing. There's no power, there's no nothing, and it's just pure isolation in the snow, surviving. And it was very, very accessible to read, very quick prose. Like, I found myself a page turning on this. Very snappy, very efficient, very character driven. That's Moon of the Crusted Snow by Wawgijik Rice, and it is a great read, coming in at number 10. Coming in at number 9, you know I had to do it. You Like It Darker by Stephen King. This was great. This did not disappoint me at all, and I'm still tripping over focus. This did not disappoint me at all. Some of Stephen King's recent works have been just okay, nothing to write home about. Like Fairy Tale fell apart in the second act for me. But You Like It Darker is a collection of short stories and some novellas in here, and they were great. For the most part, all bangers. Let me just take a look at this. Yeah, just some really, really fun stuff in here. The Fifth Step, Willie the Weirdo, Danny Coughlin's Bad Dream. Now that is a full-on novella. That is an absolute, that was the showstopper for me, was Danny Coughlin's Bad Dream. That is about a man who dreams about a body somewhere and can't help but feel that there is a body out there that he finds and reports to police, but then he becomes suspect number 1. And it's very intriguing, and the villain in that, Sergeant Jalbert, the detective, or Detective Jalbert, is just incredible. And yeah, this Danny Coughlin's Bad Dream was just phenomenal. On Slide In Road was another great one. Red Screen was actually very strange, and I did not get at all. Turbulent Expert, Lori, Rattlesnakes, another full-on novella, a sequel to Cujo as well. Just great stuff in here. The Dreamers was brilliant, and Answer Man was so good too. It just hit after hit after hit, banger after banger in this. Some great Stephen King in here, and I loved it. And I'm so happy I can say that, because it's kind of a gamble these days with King if I'm going to love it or not. And that's coming from Mr. Stephen King fan. If you look to your left over there, you'll see a shelf. Not actually, it's off screen, but this whole left shelf is all Stephen King only. So, anyways, moving on to number 9, I believe. Number 8. That would be Tom Clancy's The Hunt for Red October. Now, this was a really fun read. Actually, I might drop this below You Like It Darker, depending on the day. Tom Clancy's The Hunt for Red October, if you can get past the whole America is the greatest place in the world, death to communism, like boomer kind of approach to American patriotism and that kind of stuff, the book is still really good and really fun and really great. I loved it, and I didn't know if I would. Like I said, I'm fucking Mr. Lib. Okay, I am very liberal, and I can still say, guys, this military story that is very America's the best place in the world and that sort of thing didn't really bother me too much, guys. It's a, I don't know, when was this written? 1984. I mean, who gives a fuck? it was an incredible story, really great concept that I was page turning, loved it, and it managed to keep me engaged. And it was this thriller that takes place in a submarine and on boats around said submarine, and they managed to keep you going, and I could follow who was who, and I could keep track of everything, keep track of everyone, and it was great. I really loved it, and I'm huge on Jack Ryan. I love the character Jack Ryan, and I look forward to reading Patriot Games. It's on my nightstand right now, and I think that's going to be one that comes to us in 2025, guys. Hunt for Red October, love it. Okay, this is where we get into the real heavy hitters, starting with Dolores Claiborne by Stephen King. Oh my God, that cover is just brilliant. Wow. Dolores Claiborne by Stephen King. I listened to the audiobook, and I highly, highly recommend you do the same. The entire book is told through the perspective of a woman giving a police statement interview. And the audiobook, she acts her heart up. There's little clinking sound effects, pen writing sound effects, all that sort of thing. And it is, the performance is just incredible. The story is actually very straightforward and simple, beginning, middle, end. For Stephen King, that's very rare to just get, here's what happened. I did this, then we did that, and this is how we did it. That's very rare for Stephen King. This book is so straightforward in that sense, and I loved it. It's about a woman whose husband is a dastardly individual, and things come to a head, and she is brought into police questioning. That's all I'm going to say about it, really, guys. It's Stephen King, not at his best, but at his damn good. And the book is damn good, guys. Dolores Claiborne by Stephen King. Okay, guys, next up we got The Lost City of Z by David Grann. This dude can write a nonfiction book like nobody's business. I'm not huge on nonfiction. I tried to read SPQR by Mary Beard the other day. Not the other day, this year. I tried to read SPQR. I tried to read In Cold Blood and a few other nonfics. And I just have a hard time with them. That's just a me thing, I guess. But David Grann, brother, Killers of the Flower Moon, flawlessly written. And The Lost City of Zed, or Z, whatever you want to say, just as good. Not true. Not just as good as Killers of the Flower Moon, but damn good. Incredible story. I have a lust for adventure, and this book just amped it up through the fucking roof for me. Lost City of Z is about a man's obsession to find the lost city of Z, as he calls it, deep in the Amazon rainforest. And this guy's like Percy Fawcett. He's a real-life Indiana Jones type figure character. This is a true story, and David Grann is in there, in the jungle, actively investigating this. And one of the biggest parts of Killers of the Flower Moon that was so good was David Grann was actively not just reading research papers and then writing a book summarizing what the history is. No, he was boots on the ground in Oklahoma talking to the families, talking to the descendants. Same thing here for Lost City of Z. And it's just a story that will just fill you with wonder and intrigue and mystery. And guys, incredible hit from David Grann. And The Wager is sitting on my bookshelf over there, his next book. Oh, I can't wait. Okay, coming in at number 5, guys, I am aware this author is facing some very harsh and very real accusations right now. So no comments on the author personally, but I read the book Coraline this year by Neil Gaiman, and it was the 5th best thing I read all year. Wow. Gaiman once said that he wrote this book because he wanted to have a book for his children that was child appropriate but genuinely scary. Buddy, this book is genuinely scary to me, and I'm 25 years old, 24 years old. Wow. So many just bone-chilling, eerie moments. You guys know Coraline. Story of a little girl who's feeling alone and isolated from her family, and through a mysterious passageway in her home, she discovers a new family that seems too good to be true. And it turns out it is too good to be true, and there's very sinister aspects going on behind the scenes. So, Coraline, guys, holy, if you've seen the movie, the book is worth a read. The ending of the movie is better than the ending of the book, but the book's bulk might be better than the movie. Absolutely incredible to read, guys. Just so many bone-chilling moments. When Coraline is in the closet with the lost souls of the other 3 kids. Oh. Coraline, number 5. Coming in at number 4, a nonfiction by the Duplass brothers, Mark and Jay Duplass. As you might know, Mr. Duplass from the movie Creep. But they've done all sorts of stuff with HBO and the Creep tapes on Shudder now. This is a nonfiction book about their rise to Hollywood fame and how they navigated Hollywood as kind of two nobodies who just their first Sundance film they shot on a little camcorder, and they got into Sundance. And it was a very inspiring book for me because, one, I have a brother who is also a creator and also a filmmaker, and two, this was the year I took the leap and I made my film Arachnid, starring TNA knockout superstar Killer Kelly. And that was tough, and that was really tough, guys. And to have this book kind of at my side to go along with, to carry me through, was really just incredible. It made me kind of sad though, because these are two brothers who work so closely together. Me and my brother did work on Arachnid with me because, he was one to help out, but we don't create from the core together, and these brothers do. So that was something that was a very emotional thing to read through, is how these guys cooked from the core together since day one. And as me and my brother go off in different creative directions, it's interesting to see how the two lives kind of play out. And yeah, this book, guys, is if you think you can't make it in Hollywood without knowing somebody or being connected to somebody, it's not true in the slightest at all, guys. And this book just goes to show you, all you want to be a filmmaker, all you got to do is just make a film. It's as simple as that. And even with Arachnid, I just said one day, well, the movie's not going to make itself. I guess I got to figure out how to make the movie. And then I did. And here we are. So this book was just trying to read about Hollywood, about brothership, about writing, about directing. Just incredible. Okay, guys. Top three things I read all year. Coming in at number 3 is, drumroll please, Surfacing by Margaret Atwood, as recommended to me by my friend Holly, who also stars in Arachnid. Surfacing is the tale of a woman who goes to her northern woodland cottage in Quebec to search for her missing father, and she finds much more within herself than she intended to. To quote Family Guy,
about 4 young boys who went looking for a dead body and instead found themselves. And also a dead body.
I recommend this book to every person who has ears who will listen, and you're going to hear me say that again about my number 1 pick. This is a book that if you are a man, you should read, as it will open you up to perspectives that you really should hear more. If you are a woman, I feel like this will be a very emotional, cathartic experience. A friend of mine once said, a female friend of mine once said, I have the urge to seclude myself in the woods and just become a beast woman in the woods. And I always think about that quote. Surfacing is a spiritual version of that, about a woman who goes to the woods to search for her father with her friends. And it just becomes this internal odyssey for this woman. And it's so good, guys. It's so good. Margaret Atwood, very short too. Look at the freaking size of that. I saw Margaret Atwood speak in person not long ago with my dear friend MP Reeds, who I'll tag in this video. And Margaret Atwood, guys, what can I say that hasn't been said? Genius, innovator, groundbreaker, trendsetter, everything. The book is 194 pages of absolute perfection. And if it seems a little slow at the beginning, seems a little dry, a little cold, a little stale, I thought that too. Gave it another chance. Blew my head off, guys. Surfacing by Margaret Atwood. Coming in at number 2, you know it, you love it, A Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin, the first book in A Song of Ice and Fire. What can I say about it that hasn't been said? Guys, it's Game of Thrones. The book, I'm not one of those guys who always says the book is always better than the movie. So untrue. I think people who say that don't read enough, because you will read some stinkers where the movie is better, okay? Game of Thrones. This is an incredible, incredible book and an incredible read, guys. Every page is just teeming with life, lore, deep, rich history. Every character. A side character will walk through a market and they'll be like, oh, there goes Cedric the Defiler McGee. They call him that because he defiled a guy once when he was not but 9 years old. And it's like, every character gets something like that. Whether it's Beric Dondarrion, the Mountain, the Hound, no matter how big or small, they got a cool-ass backstory and a cool-ass nickname, and it all informs each other. But I always say this. George R. R. Martin is the master of the character concept, and I'll give you my two faves. Jaime Lannister. Fantasy archetype of heroic knight, Kingsguard, most noble knight in the world. Betrays his sole duty and kills the king. That's not a spoiler. That is Act 1 character stuff. But he did it to save the... Okay, well, that part I can't say. But he has so much dynamics. And the other one that I can say so clearly, Theon Greyjoy. He is abducted by the Stark family in war as taken on as a ward from the Iron Islands, as a political hostage, raised as their own, yet his father does not view him as a Greyjoy. He's pulled between identity and family. Who is his real family? The family he's never met since he was a baby, or the family who raised him as their own, but by force took him? And where does his allegiances lie? To whom? To where? To why? Just so good. And every character in Game of Thrones has that deep, rich backstory. And I just love it so much, guys. Game of Thrones, number 2. And the best thing I read all year, a book I avoided for a long time because cringe kids on TikTok were obsessed with it, and I thought it sounded really cringe. I'm gonna sneeze. Donna Tartt's The Secret History. The best book I've read all year. Maybe in my top 10 all time. Don't get it twisted, guys. Don't get it twisted. This book is just good beyond belief. Opening page, opening paragraph. First person POV. Me and a group of friends killed one of our friends, and it's ruining my life. Here's how it happened. Boom! That is the instigating event that they tell you on sentence 1, page 1, paragraph 1, okay? Chapter 1. The book is just... it's such a great setup. You know what's coming, but it's how are we getting there? How do we get to this horrendous resolve? How do we end up here? That is the journey of Donna Tartt's The Secret History. And it is a journey I was so thrilled to be on. And a friend of mine recommended it to me. And usually I don't, I know what I like so much. And books are heavy investment. I don't seek out a lot of book recommendations because a book is a long time investment. And I kind of know my taste, so I have a big list. But I thought, you know what, fuck it. I'm going to give it a chance, and thank God I did. Incredible, incredible read. And also this book is incredible because it plays into aspects of ourselves that I think we all kind of want, but we don't like to say aloud, or we're not supposed to. Being in some sort of elite group where, we think we're so cool, we're so smart, and, I should be, I am Mr. Cool Guy. We all want to feel like that, I think, but we're not supposed to say it. So this book is very much like turning it on its head. It's like, oh yeah, you want to be a part of something like that? You want to be with those cool, mysterious, dark, edgy academics? Well, they're all fucking losers, and they're cringe, and they're annoying, and it's not what you think it is. But also, a part of me, there's this weird, deviant aspect to it, where they're doing all sorts of nefarious, devious things, and a deep part of us were like, as audience members, I think something appealing about that. And I think... I don't want to say too much, but it's a very appealing aesthetic to approach from an outside perspective. But if you start to take that too seriously, which the characters in this book do, it becomes not good at all. The book is incredible, guys. Donna Tartt's The Secret History. Yeah, incredible. So that is everything I read this year, guys. 12 books, 12 months of the year. I want to try and double that going into the new season. I've got a lot of stuff on my plate. A lot of stuff I've kind of started already. Early head start on in late December so I can cap off January with some big reads. But yeah, guys, that is it from me. And I know if anyone's stuck around this long who's wondering about reaction videos, guys, my eye health is deteriorating day by day. I have severe eye pain frequently on a daily basis. And yeah, I just can't do the reviews right now until I get my eyes sorted out. I know you guys have been hearing that for years, but it's actually only getting worse instead of getting better. So I apologize, but there's nothing I can do. So anyway, guys, thank you so much, and hopefully I can make some more videos for you soon. Bye.